These are the directions for your haunted house silhouette. Put your name and teacher code on the back with a pencil. We are going to start by adding the basic shapes of our house and then adding only black pastel to color in our silhouette shadow. We are going to start at the bottom and kind of work our way upward with our house. So you're going to start by drawing the line for the ground. It can be more straight, or I did mine on sort of a hill or an angle, and that's okay too. So I'm going to start down here in the left-hand corner and just sort of make a wobbly hill that gets bigger as I go up. So it goes, probably gets to about 3 or 4 fingers wide, just to give you an idea for space. Then I'm going to add the bottom part of my house. So the larger kind of square that we see right here, or rectangle. So start with that. And your lines do not have to be straight. It's a haunted house, so it's going to be a bit wobbly and old looking. So I don't want to do it too tiny because I want to leave room for windows and stuff. My hand will fit inside of there. Then I'm going to top that so I know where the main part of my house is, and I'm going to start adding the other little portions of my house. So I want to do the first part of the roof. So I'm extending that line and slanting my line just very slightly. And then I'm going to add a top on there. And once again, it does not have to be straight. It can be a little wobbly. And that's probably 2 fingers wide. And then I'm going to add the kind of more upstairs or attic-y part of my house. So I'm going to do this, but smaller. 2 lines, 2 vertical lines. And I can fit a few fingers inside of that space. And I'm going to do kind of the same thing here, where I'm going to make a line that's a little bit wider than this. And I'm going to make this one come to a point, so it's going to look like a triangle. And if you want yours to be more like this, that's okay too. You can make this as unique as you would like. And then we're going to add some steps and a little kind of entryway right here. Unless you don't want to, you can start adding some windows and stuff we'll talk about in a second. So for stairs, you're kind of making a line that goes up and over and up. And don't do too many, maybe do 4 or 3. If you do too many, they get really tiny for oil pastel. You want to make them wide because the tip of our pastel is much wider than our pencil. And now I'm going to add a line going upward, vertical line, and a little awning roof right here that's going to look very similar to this one. Very slight line. And it's just going to be a little bit skinnier. So this one's maybe the thickness of my finger, not quite. Now we're ready to add some lines for our windows. Please do not add a lot of teeny tiny details because it is just a silhouette shadow. And if we do too tiny, then we run into problems with our big oil pastel. So you're going to add some rectangles, or maybe you want to do some rounded windows and things like that. So you decide how you want to add those windows. They don't have to be straight. When your house drawing is complete, check to make sure that you don't have any really skinny areas. So if you look, I can fit my finger in between these little areas of lines, and even here my fingertip will fit in here. So I didn't do anything super small. If it's really small, make it larger. And remember, we're going to color and paint this whole thing in so you won't see your pencil lines later. And last thing, you can add a moon. You might want to do just kind of a corner moon, or maybe you want to grab a lid. You could do different size lids. You don't have to do a small lid. Maybe you want your moon to be sort of tucked behind your house, or maybe you like it up in this corner, or maybe you want it in the opposite corner. Think about where you'd like that and really carefully draw your moon. Now that your drawing is complete, you're going to only use black, only black. So this yellow is paint, and this back here is paint, and that's paint as well. So only black with the Aura Pastel. We're going to color it in and do some outlining. Please remember that oil pastels smear super easy, so when we use them, we need to be careful not to accidentally run our hand through it, because it's going to end up looking like this all over, or we're going to end up with little fingerprints all over the place. To avoid that, you could use a paper towel for under your hand if you have a hard time keeping your hand up while you draw. Or maybe you're just coloring it in and you want to be able to rest your hand. It's good for that too. So I like to outline first and then color an area in and sort of work my way in one direction up the paper. So I'm not constantly working at the top and then the bottom and the side, because then that's where we run into problems with the smearing. When I'm coloring, I'm being really careful to color in as much of that white space as possible. So I'm not doing scribbly stuff or really light stuff so we see the white space. I'm going slow, and I'm really making nice, bold, dark lines. And I haven't colored up here, so I'm able to put my hand there and hold my paper nice and secure. When you're next to the edge, go a little slower so you don't accidentally bend those paper edges. As you might remember, when you're working with pastels, you start to get these little pieces. It's a little hard to see with the black, but you can see all these little crumbs, and it's so tempting to want to brush them off, but we don't want to do that. So every now and then, when there gets to be a lot of them, you can just nicely walk to the trash and just kind of shake it over the trash can so we're not smearing, and continue working. When your house is all nicely colored in with black pastel, then you're ready for paint. Remember not to outline your moon in black.